The fifth truth, perceived by our traveler at the second stage, the existence in the entirety of the cosmos, its pillars and parts, and all the beings contained in it, of the most perfect order and regularity, the sameness of the substances and purposive beings that are the means of the rotation and administration of that vast kingdom and are connected to its general scheme, the fact that the divine names and deeds that are at work in that magnificent city, that vast exhibition, encompass and comprehend all things or most things, despite their being one within the other and of the same nature and the same, and there being the same name and deed in every place, the fact that the elements and species that are the means for the administration, inhabiting, and construction of that well-adorned palace cover the whole face of the earth in their diffusion, despite their being one within the other, of the same nature and the same elements and the same species being found everywhere. All of these demands, proves, and affirms necessarily and self-evidently the following: the maker and disposer of this cosmos, the monarch and nurturer of this realm, the master and builder of this palace, is one, unique soul. He has neither like nor peer, neither minister nor aid. He has neither partner nor opposite. He has neither inability nor deficiency. Yes, order is in itself a perfect expression of unity. It demands a single orderer. It leaves no place for the assignment of partners to God, the source of dispute and dissension. There is a wise and precise order inherent in all things, whether universal or particular, from the total scheme of the cosmos and the daily and annual rotation of the earth, down to the physiognomy of man, the complex of senses in man's head, and the circulation of white and red cells in man's blood. Nothing other than one absolutely powerful and absolutely wise can stretch out its hands intentionally and creatively toward anything, nor interfere with it. On the contrary, all things are recipients, means of manifestation and passive. Now, ordering and pursuit of certain purposes and the bestowal of regularity with a view to certain benefits can be done only by means of knowledge and wisdom and performed only with will and choice. Certainly, and in all events, this wisdom nurturing regularity, this infinitely varied ordering of the cosmos that before our very eyes assures various benefits, proves and affirms to a self-evident degree that the creator and disposer of all beings is one, an agent possessing will and choice. Everything comes into being through his power, assumes a particular state through his will, and takes on a particular form through his choice. The heat-given lamp of this hospice that is the world is one, its candle that is the basis for the reckoning of time is one, its merciful sponge is one, its fiery cook is one, its life-giving beverage is one, its well-guarded field is one, as well as 1,001 other instances of oneness. It follows from all of these instances of oneness that the maker and master of this hospice is also one, that he is extremely generous and hospitable, for he employs numerous high-ranking and great officials to serve the animate guests of his hospice. Names such as all-wise, compassionate, giver of forms, disposer, quickener, and nurturer, the impresses and manifestations of which are to be seen at work in every corner of the world, attributes such as wisdom, mercy, and grace, and acts such as formation, disposition, and nurturing are all one. They embrace every place in the utmost degree, each name and act being present there. They also complement the imprint of each other in such a way that it is as if those names and deeds were uniting in such fashion that power becomes identical with wisdom and mercy, and wisdom becomes identical with grace and life. For example, as soon as the activity of the name of quickener appears in a thing, the activity of numerous other names, such as creator, giver of form, and provider, also appears at the same instant, everywhere, and in the same system. This of a certainty and self-evidently establishes and proves that that which is designated by the names and the doer of the comprehensive deeds that appear everywhere in the same fashion must also be one, single, and unique. In this we believe, and to this we give our assent. The elements that are the substance and material of creation encompass the whole earth. Each of the species of creation that bears an imprint attesting unity is diffused throughout the earth in unity and, so to speak, conquers it. This also proves to the degree of being self-evident that those elements, together with what they embrace, and those species, together with their separate members, are the product and property of a single being. They are the products and servants of so unique and powerful a one that he employs those vast and imperious elements as obedient servants and those species diffused throughout the earth as well as disciplined soldiers. Since this truth also has been established and explained in other places in the Risale-i Nur, we content ourselves here with this brief indication. In summary of the witnessings that he derived from these 5 truths, through the superabundance of faith and the joy of divine unity, and in expression of his feelings, our traveler said to his heart, "Look upon the colored page of the cosmic book. See what forms the golden pen of power has traced. No dark point remains for the gaze of the heart's eye. It is as if God has inscribed his signs with light. Know too that the leaves in the world's book are dimensions infinite. The lines of time's events are works innumerable. Written on the workbench of the preserved tablet of reality, a meaningful embodied word is ever being in this world. Listen also to this. When all things proclaim no God but God, they will in unison say, O truth and reality, and beseech in harmony, O living one, yes, in all things there is a sign pointing to the fact that he is one. Hearkening to this, his heart and soul affirmed the truth of what they heard and said, Yes, indeed. In brief allusion to the 5 truths of unity observed by our traveler through the world, our voyager through the cosmos, at the second stopping place, it was said in the 2nd chapter of the 1st station. There is no God but God, the one, the unique, to whose unity in necessary existence points the witnessing of the truth of grandeur and sublimity, its perfection and comprehensiveness, the witnessing of the truth of the appearance of deeds in absolute fashion, in infinitude, without any limitation except that of God's will and wisdom, the witnessing of the truth of the creation of beings in absolute multiplicity, with absolute swiftness, the creation of creatures in absolute ease, with absolute perfection, the origination of things made in absolute plenitude, with utter perfection of artistry and value, the witnessing of the truth of the existence of beings in universal and comprehensive fashion, joined, interconnected, and interrelated, the witnessing of the truth of universal order, an order incompatible with the assignation of partners to God, the witnessing of the unity of the sources of cosmic order, a unity that clearly attests the unity of their maker, the unity of the names and deeds that comprehend and permeate the universe, and the unity of the elements and species dispersed over the face of the earth in imperious fashion. That world traveler voyaging through different ages chanced upon the school of the renewer of the 2nd millennium, Imam Rabbani Ahmed Faruqi. He entered and listened to the lesson being taught by the Imam. The most important result yielding by all the Sufi paths is the unfolding of the truths of belief. The unfolding in clarity of a single truth of belief is preferable to 1,000 miraculous deeds and mystical visions. The Imam said too, in former times, great persons said that someone will arise from among the theologians and the scholars of the science of theology. He will prove all the truths of belief and Islam with rational proofs and the utmost clarity. I wish to be that man, and maybe I am. Note: time has proven that the man referred to here is not in fact an individual, but the Risale-i Nur itself. It may be that the people of unveiling happened to notice the insignificant interpreter and proclaimer of the Risale-i Nur, and hence came to speak of a man. He continued his instruction by saying that belief and the assertion of divine unity were the foundation, substance, light, and life of all human perfection, that the hadith and ours reflective thought is better than a year's worship, refers to reflection on belief, and that the silent month of invocation practiced in the Naqshbandi order is a form of this most excellent reflection. The traveler listened with utmost care. He turned and addressed himself as follows: "It is thus that this heroic Imam speaks. To increase the strength of one's belief by as much as an atom is worth more than a ton of nuzuz or other form of perfection, and sweeter than the honey of 100 visionary experiences." On the other hand, the philosophers of Europe have leagued together for 1,000 years to invent objections and doubts in their hostility to faith and the Qur'an, and to attack the believers. They wish to shake the pillars of belief that are the key, the source, the foundation of everlasting felicity, of life immortal, of eternal paradise. We ought therefore to strengthen our belief by making it one of realization instead of one of imitation. So come, let us advance. In order to bring the 29 degrees of faith that we have found, each as powerful as a mountain, to the blessed number of 33, the number of litanies that follow upon prayer, and in order to see a third stopping place in this realm of instruction, let us knock at the door of the dominical sustenance of the animate world and open it with the key of, "In the name of God, the merciful, the compassionate." Speaking thus, he beseechingly knocked at the gate of this third stopping place, a compendium of wonders and a spectacle of marvels. Saying, "In the name of God, the opener," he opened the gate. The third stopping place became visible to him. He entered and saw that it was illuminated by 4 great and encompassing truths that demonstrated the divine unity as brightly as the sun. The first truth, the truth of opening. That is, the opening up from a single simple substance of innumerable variants and separate forms together everywhere in a single instant and by a single deed through the manifestation of the name of opener. Yes, in the same way that God's creative power has opened up innumerable beings like flowers in the garden of the cosmos and endowed each with an orderly form and distinct identity through the manifestation of the name of opener, so too, although in more miraculous fashion, He has given to the 400,000 species of animate beings in the garden of the earth, each its symmetrical, adorned, and distinct form. He creates you in the wombs of your mothers, creation after creation in 3 darknesses. That is God, your sustainer. His is the sovereignty, there is no God other than He. Where, then, will you turn? Naught is hidden from God, neither on earth nor in the heavens. He, it is who forms you in the wombs as He wills. There is no God but He, the mighty, the wise. As these 2 verses indicate, the strongest proof of divine unity and the most remarkable miracle of divine power is God's opening up of forms. Because the opening of forms is repeatedly established and expounded in different ways elsewhere in the Risale-i Nur, and particularly in the 6th and 7th degrees of the 1st chapter of the 2nd station of this treatise, we refer the discussion of this matter to those places and restrict ourselves here to the following. According to the testimony of botany and biology, based on profound research, there is in the opening and unfolding of forms such comprehensiveness and artistry that other than a single and unique one absolutely powerful, able to see and do all things in all things, no one could undertake this comprehensive and all-embracing deed. For this deed of the unfolding of forms demands a wisdom, an attention, and a comprehensiveness that are present at all times and are contained within an infinite power. This power, in turn, can be found only in that unique being who administers the whole cosmos. As is decreed in the above quoted verses, God's attribute of opening expressed in the opening and creation of the forms of man from their mother's wombs, with him three darknesses, separately, with equilibrium, distinctness, and order, without any error, confusion, or mistake, this truth of the unfolding of the forms of all men and animals all over the earth, with the same power, the same wisdom, and the same ancestry, is a most powerful proof of God's unity. For to comprehend and embrace all things is itself a form of unity that leaves no room for the assignation of partners to God. Just as the 19 truths of the first chapter, bearing witness to the necessary existence of God, also attest the existence of the Creator through their own existence, so too they bear witness to His unity through their comprehensiveness. Our traveler then saw the following second truth in the third stopping place. The second truth, the truth of mercifulness. We see with our own eyes that there is one who has covered the face of the earth with thousands of gifts of mercy and made it into a feasting place. He has laid out a spread of hundreds of thousands of the different delicious foods of mercifulness, and made the inside of the earth a storehouse containing thousands of precious bounties of compassionateness and wisdom. That being sends to us also the earth in its yearly rotation like a ship or a train laden with the finest of the hundreds of thousands of vital human necessities proceeding from the world of the unseen, and He sends to us too the spring like a wagon carrying food and clothing for us. Thus does He nurture us with utmost compassion. In order for us to profit from those gifts and bounties, He has moreover given us hundreds and thousands of appetites, needs, feelings, sensations, and senses. As was set forth in the fourth ray concerning the verse on the sufficiency of God, He has given us a stomach that can take pleasure in infinite varieties of food. He has given us such a life that through the senses associated with it, we can derive benefit from the innumerable bounties of the vast corporeal world, just as if it were some bounties spread. He has favored us with the human state so that we delight in the boundless gifts of both the spiritual and material worlds through instruments such as the intellect and the heart. He has conveyed Islam to us so that we derive light from the boundless treasuries of the unseen and manifest realms. He has guided us to faith so that we are illuminated by the innumerable lights and gifts of this world and the hereafter. This cosmos is like a palace fitted out and adorned by the divine quality of mercy with innumerable antiques and valuable items, which then gives to man's hands the keys to open all the chests and chambers in that palace, as well as bestowing on man's nature all the needs and senses that will enable him to make use of them. This mercy that embraces this world and the hereafter, and indeed all things, is without doubt a manifestation of oneness within unity. Just as the light of the sun is a parable of unity, through its comprehending all things that face it, every bright and transparent object that receives the reflection of the light, heat, and 7 colors of the sun is also a parable and a symbol of oneness. Hence, whoever sees its all-embracing light will conclude that the sun of this earth is one and unique. Witnessing the warm and luminous reflection of the sun in all bright objects, and even in drops of water, he will say that the oneness of the sun, or the sun itself, is present with its attributes close to all things. It is at the mirror-like heart of all things. So too, the encompassing of all things by the extensive mercy of the merciful One of beauty, like a light, demonstrates the unity of that merciful One, and that He in no way has any partner. Similarly, the fact that under the veil of that all-embracing mercy the lights of most of the merciful One's names and a sort of manifestation of His essence are found in everything and especially in all living beings, and in man in particular, and the fact that this gives each individual a comprehensiveness arising from life, which causes him to look to and be related to the whole universe, proves the oneness of the Merciful One, and that He is present with all things, and does all things in all things. Yes, the Merciful One shows the splendor of His glory in the whole of the cosmos, and all over the earth through the unity and comprehensiveness of His mercy. With the manifestation of His oneness, He gathers together in every member of all animate species, and particularly man, specimens of all His bodies, orders the tools and instruments of animate beings, and proclaims the special solicitude of His beauty to each individual, that without shattering the wholeness of the universe. As for man, it is in him that God makes known in concentrated form the various forms of His body. Similarly, a melon can be said to be concentrated in its seed. The being that makes the seed must necessarily be he who makes the melon. Then, with the special balance of his knowledge and the particular law of his wisdom, he draws the seed out from it, gathers it together, and clothes it in a body. Nothing other than the one and unique master craftsman who makes the melon is able to make its seed. That would be impossible, since through the manifestation of mercifulness, the cosmos becomes like a tree or a garden, the earth becomes like a fruit or a melon, and man becomes like a seed. Of a certainty, the creator and sustainer of the smallest animate being must be the creator of all the earth and all the cosmos. In short, just as the making and unfolding of the regular and orderly forms of all beings through the truth of opening, which is comprehensive, proves unity to the point of being self-evident, so too the truth of mercifulness, which encompasses all things, through its nurturing of all animate beings that come into existence and enter the life of this world, particularly the newly arrived, with the utmost order and regularity, causing all necessities to reach them, forgetting none of them, the same mercy reaching all individuals everywhere at the same instant demonstrates both unity and oneness within unity. Since the Risale-i Nur is the manifestation of the names of all wise and all compassionate, and in many places fine points and flashes of the reality of divine mercy are elucidated and proved, here we make allusion to that ocean with a single droplet and cut that long story short. Our traveler then witnessed the following third truth in the third stopping place.